Welcome to the New Year's Eve edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And some of you will be looking at your screens thinking, I know that puzzle. Indeed, that is what I thought when I saw this puzzle, which is called the Miracle Reborn by Matthias Martinka this time, not Mitchell Lee. Now, I expect that many of you watching this video found the channel through a video we released, well, it was a year and a half ago now, in May 2020. It was called the Miracle Sudoku, and it involved me opening the puzzle you can see on your screen on camera and just saying, well, that's ridiculous, it can't possibly have a solution. I was obviously wrong, and I then went on a 25-minute journey of wonderment to find that Mitchell had in fact discovered something quite extraordinary. Now, Matthias sent us this a few weeks ago, saying he's found something else pretty extraordinary. He's made a very small change to the Miracle Sudoku rules and represented the exact puzzle. Well, it looks exactly the same, just two given digits in the exact positions. And our testers had a look at this and say it's a really cool puzzle, especially for a day like New Year's Eve. We're about to tick over, obviously, into 2022. And I thought some of you might be interested to hear some statistics about the channel, which has grown somewhat since May 2020. We now have 430,000 subscribers. Thank you so much if you're one of those people. It is a number we cannot believe it. Every time you think about it, you cannot really believe it. The channel has now had over 100 million views, which is again fairly ludicrous. Our Discord server now has 23,000 members. 23,000. I mean, this is a testament to the incredible work that's done over there by all the moderators to keep that community so engaged, and it's amazing. If you've never been over there, go and check it out. There's a gas puzzle every day, there's a gap puzzle every day. These are genuinely approachable Sudokus, genuinely approachable pencil puzzles. There's loads of new ordinary puzzles being created, loads of ideas around Sudoku and puzzles being shared, and just a community we're so proud of. Everyone there, you know, seems to be really kind, humbling, intelligent, just the people you'd like to meet in real life when eventually the world gets back to that. What else? 6,500 of you are patrons of the channel on Patreon. These are incredible numbers. And well, over on Patreon, it is the best Sudoku club on earth, and we do try very hard to make sure that your support is appreciated because of the puzzles, the puzzle hunts, the Sudoku hunts that we publish over there. And in fact, I need to read out a whole load of names because many more of you have managed to solve the hunt in the last 24 hours. So very well done to Hayden Allawine. Might be saying that wrong, could be Alewine, but I'll go for Allawine. Rachel Nordgren, Brendan Crow, Lindsay and Aaron Frederick, Pat Holly, Joe Chang and John Chang separately, Jay Redden, Vim and Yan Lim. All of you have correctly solved it. We have had some other entries too with the incorrect or an incorrect 6-letter word. So if you have got to the end and you've decrypted the question, just the answer's not very cryptic after that. Just count the number of rooms you've found and have a think. And you should, if you watch the channel, you should have a very good idea of what the answer is you need to send in. Other than that, I just want to give a shout out actually to Blair, who wrote us a delightful email this morning from Scotland. Blair has managed to get through, I think, 30 or so of the puzzles in the Pyramid Hunt, but is now very stuck. Well, Blair, well done on getting that far. That is an awesome effort, believe me, it is an awesome effort. I will say I don't think you're going to be able to finish all the other puzzles in the hunt before tomorrow, but it's a great effort, and your email, well, it made my morning, so thank you for sending it to us. And if you are stuck on the hunt, tomorrow we hope to release a complete suite of videos covering every single puzzle, so worry not. Hopefully any questions you have will be answered then. Other than that, what else to tell you? Well, tomorrow it's the 1st of January. That means it's Patron Reward Day. And of course, we have got this coming up for you, courtesy of Peter C. Hayward, a quite extraordinary puzzle hunt. And if you read the flavour text here, which seems to be an email to a director called George about a cantina scene, you will have a very good idea about the theme of this hunt. And I know many of you will enjoy it for that reason, if nothing else. Yeah, so that'll come out 4 p.m. tomorrow UK time. And yeah, anyone who finishes that quickly will certainly get a shout out. Now, why don't we have a look at the Miracle Reborn and see what Matches has done, with the classic Mitchell Lee puzzle. Here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Cells separated by a knight's or king's move in chess cannot contain the same digit. Let's stop there, make sure we understand what that means. So let's imagine the central cell of the grid was a 5. Oh, I tried to type 5 in and I pressed 6. Not a good start. Now, if this was a 5, a chess knight's move would jump to all of these cells. Therefore, none of these cells could be a 5 in this puzzle because of that restriction. Now, a king's move is even simpler. If we have a 5 here, that's telling us that a chess king could basically go one cell in any direction. So the practical consequence of that from a Sudoku perspective is that you couldn't have a 5 in either of those positions. Normally you could, but in this puzzle, because they'd be a king's move apart, that's illegal, so don't do that. Now the final bit of the rules is a twist on the old 159 rule. Many of you watch the channel will know this rule, but basically what Matches then says is digits in the nth column indicate in which column the digit n is placed in the respective row. And then he gives an example. So he says, e.g., if row 3, column 2 is a 5, let's put 5 in there, the 5th column in the 3rd row, so we're looking at this row, and this is indexing the 2 because it's in the 2nd column. So that's telling us in the 5th column we would have to put a 2. So row 3, column 5 must contain a 2. And that rule applies throughout this grid, not just to columns 1, 5 and 9. It applies everywhere. So let's do another example and check we can understand that. Let's put an 8 in there. It says somewhat randomly. So that's in the 4th column. So that's telling us in this row we need to put the digit 4 in the 8th column. So it would go, whoops, there, not 5, 4. So that's how the rule works. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, unlike with the Miracle Sudoku, I can see how to start this one instantly. Because of this 159 rule, this is telling us, this 1 is in the 3rd column. So we know in this row, we need to put a 3 in the 1st column. So this is one of the interesting things about 159s. They sort of pair off. These digits sort of index each other. This is in the 1st column, so it's telling us the 3. We need to look in the 3rd column for where the 1 goes. And this is in the 3rd column, so it's saying we need to look in the 1st column for where the 3 goes, etc. So we can do the same with this 2, which is in the 7th column. So we know that we need to put a 7 in column 2 to make that rule work. Now, I'm very tempted to look at this digit again now. And that's because of the knight's moves and the king's moves. That digits in this particular position against an edge are massively powerful. So let's think about where 1 goes in box 5. Well, it can't go in any of those cells by Sudoku. It can't go in these 2 cells because of the king's move. It can't go in those 2 cells because of the knight's move. These would both be a knight's move away. So we're only left with 2 cells for the 1. And that's in the 6th column, isn't it? So that's telling us that the 6 in column 1 must be in one of those 2 positions. Because if this was a 1, we'll have to put a 6 here. If this is a 1, we'll have to put a 6 here. So we've sort of limited the 6 in box 1. Now, but not box 1, box 4. Right, where do we go next? I mean, this feels like a hugely powerful constraint, actually. So I imagine we'll be able to... my eyes keep getting drawn to the 2 and noticing that because of the king's move and the knight's move restriction, you can't actually put a 2 in any of those 5 cells in row 7. So the 2's got to be in one of those 4 positions, but I'm not sure whether that's enough. 2 in the middle box, perhaps? Okay, so king's move rules out that, knight's move rules out those 2, so 2 is in one of 3 places, which is not actually that important. At least I don't think it is. Right. Okay, I've spotted something. I wonder whether this is... I wonder how easy this puzzle is if you don't know the trick I'm about to show you about 159 puzzles. I hope it's monstrously hard, because there's something rather beautiful going on in box 4 now. Now, if you've done a lot of 159 puzzles before, you will know this trick. But the way to understand it is to realise that in each set of 3 cells vertically within a box, so those 3 cells, those 3 cells, and those 3 cells, you can have exactly 1 instance of the digits 1, 2, 3, exactly 1 instance of the digits 4, 5, 6, and exactly 1 instance of the digits 7, 8, 9.
I can't connect to your Wi-Fi network.
Now that's strange. I definitely did not say Alexa. Sorry, Alexa wants to talk in the video, but hopefully she'll now be quiet. So why is that, you might be wondering? Why can we only have... Why, for example, can this square not be a 2? Ignore the 2's here for a moment. Why can't this be a 2 because of the 159 rule? Well, let's try and put a 2 here. What's this telling us? This is telling us that the 3, because this is in the 3rd column, the 3 in this row has to be in column number 2. And that won't work because we've already got a 3 here already. And this applies for... we could try and put the 2 here, perhaps, by Sudoku. Why won't this work? Well, this, remember, is signalling the position of the 1. So we're going to get a repeated 1. If we have to put a... if this is a 2, it's signalling that the 1 must be in the 2nd column in this row. So we're going to get repeated 1s. So you have to be very, very careful with only making sure you have 1 of each type of digit in these strings. Now, what does that mean for this box? Well, it's absolutely gorgeous, because it means that we can't have another low digit in either of those squares or either of those squares. So the low digit in this box, the 2, which is the low digit we've not placed, must be in this domino. And look, that means neither of those squares can be a 2, because if you put a 2 in either of these squares, because of the knight's move constraint, you'll eliminate the 2 from both of the positions it can go in box number 4. So we can get rid of those as 2s. This becomes a 2, that becomes a 2 by Sudoku, and suddenly we have more digits at our disposal. And this is hugely powerful, because now this 2 is in the 5th column. So we need to clue a 5 in column number 2 to make sure these pair off. This 2 is interesting because this 2 is actually signifying itself. It's in the 2nd column and it is a 2. So that's a self-referential 2. It's very self-important. Now, what can we do with that knowledge? Can we go further? I'm sure we'll be able to do something more with this. Yeah, in fact, we're going to come back to row 7. Because now where does the 2 go in row 7? It can't be in these cells, it can't be in those cells, it can only be here. It can't be in these 3 cells because of the 2 here and the knight's move constraint. So this has to be a 2, which means that we must put a 2 right in the corner of box number 2, because these 2 squares would fail the king's move and the knight's move from here. These 2's obviously now... I'm not sure what to do. I think there's a few things we can do here. Let's just see if I can get 2 in one of those 2 squares, but I think what we're going to have to do... No, look, in this box, where does 2 go? Well, by Sudoku, we can rule out these squares. By king's move, that one. Knight's move, that one. So the 2 must be in this domino, which takes the 2 out of here and places it here. Now 2 in box 3 is in a pair of cells, and 2 in box 9 is in 3 cells. But what we've not done is to avail ourselves of the sort of 159 consideration. So this 2 is in the 6th column, so we have to put a 6 here. This 2 is in the 3rd column, so we have to put a 3 here. This 2 is in the 4th column, so we have to put a 4 here. And now this square sees a 1, so I'm looking at this column now. I'm seeing I've got to put 1, 8 and 9 in. That'll have to be an 8 or a 9. And that's, oh yeah, okay, and this always happens to me at 159 puzzles. I always think I've discovered something new and then find pencil marks that confirm it. So if we think about what an 8 or a 9 is telling us in this cell, it's telling us the 2 in this row must either be in column 8 or column 9. We've already got pencil marks telling us exactly that. Yeah, so 1 must be in this domino, and we've already got 2s here telling us exactly that. Okay, so we may now be getting a bit more stuck. 5 in box number 1, because of the knights and kings moves, has to be in the top row, which might be important, but not sure. Okay, where do we look now? I hear you asking. 3 has to be in one of those 3 cells. I'm stuck. 7 perhaps in this box? Is that restricted? I mean, it is, because it's in one of these classic positions, like the 1, 5 and the 7. It's in the middle of an edge, so we can instantly rule it out of most cells. It's got to be in one of those 2 cells. And if it was here, it would be signalling that the 1 is in column 7, so there'd be a 1 here. If it was here, it would be signalling the 3 is in column 7. So this little cell has been reduced to being a 1 or a 3 now, depending on which of these is the 7. Okay. 4s, 8s and 9s. 4 in box number 4 can't be in those 2 squares. So 4 must be in one of those 2 positions. And so that's telling us this square is... Oh, this is lovely. Okay. So the 4 being in this position is telling us that either in column 4 we have a 1 here or a 3 here. Well, there's a 1 touching that square by king's move, so that is a 3, which makes this square a 4. And now we might, well, 3 now is in this domino. Now 3 is in either column 8 or column 9. So that's telling us that this position here needs to be an 8 or a 9, which we could have got already from Sudoku, because we've got 6, 8 and 9 left to place in box 4. So see what I mean? It's very easy to find yourself going round in circles here. What about 3 in box 2? That looks like it might be restricted. It is, yeah. Okay, where does 3 go? Because of the it can't go here by king's move and here by knight's move, Sudoku removes it from everywhere apart from there, which is in the 5th column, so the 3rd column must now contain a 5, and these pair off. 3 must be in one of those 3 cells, in box number 3. Now, so that's telling us that this square, which is going to signal one of these 3s, therefore has to be a 7, 8 or a 9. And again, we could have got that a different way, actually. We could have got that by considering this string of 3 digits and saying there must be one low digit, 1, 2 or 3, well, we've got that. One medium digit, 4, 5 or 6, well, we've got that. So this has to be a high digit, so that would be another way that this is sort of, that point was provable. 3 must be in one of those 3 squares by Sudoku. Aha! Aha! And that's rather beautiful, because this square now can't possibly be a 3. Because if it was a 3, you now couldn't put a 3 in any of those 3 squares because of the various chess restrictions we've got going on. So let's actually get rid of this square. That has to be a 1 now. That's going to put huge pressure on 1 in box. Oh, look, no, it's easier than that. Well, there's a whole load of things going on. Firstly, we can place 1 here by Sudoku, which is nice. Secondly, we can place 1 in box 8 by Sudoku now because of the knight's move, removing it from that square. Now we can place 1 in box 5 because it can't touch another 1, so 1's got to be here. Now we get a 1-3 pair out of nowhere in box 6. We get a 1 in a domino in box 2. We get a 1 in a triomino in box 1. But what we've not done yet is to use all of the indexes that we're going to get from all of these 1s. Yeah, this is gorgeous. 1 here is in column 6. So in column 1 we must put the 6, and that gets us another digit. So these squares are 7, 8, and 9 now. Whoopsie, can't type. 7, 8, 9. These squares are 4, 5, and 6. Although that's interesting, we haven't really got any knight's moves or king's moves pointing at these cells yet. Now, what else do we get? We got a 1 in column 5 here, so this square has to be a 5. Don't know what that's doing. We've got a 1 here in column 2, so that square's got to be a 2. We've got a 1 here in column 7, so that's got to be a 7. And that's that. Right, that's nicer. Now this forced to be a 7 now by Sudoku of all things. And that's huge. Wow. Oh, this is everything's kicking off here, because this 7, firstly, it's in the 3rd column, so that's got to be a 3. Secondly, we can now place 7 in box 2 because it's ruled out of all sorts of places because of the weirdnesses of the chest restrictions. So that's got to be a 7. That's in column 6, so we've got to put a 6 here now, and these pair off. 7 now, where does it go in box 3? It can't go in these positions because of chess, so it has to go in the corner where it's going to signal a 9 because it's in the 9th column. So 7 comes out of here and 9 comes out of here. 7 sees this square by knight's move. Oh, this is so lovely, isn't it? So that's an 8. That must be a 7 now. That's a 9. These are all sort of referencing each other, which is rather good. Although the 9 is referencing itself. 9 comes down here, therefore. 7... Can we keep going with 7? Yes, we can. Where does 7 go in the middle box? Knight's move removes that one, so it's got to go right in the middle of the grid, which means that it's in the 5th column, so we have to put a 5 here now. 7, 7. 7 is forced here in box 8, which is in the 4th column, so we get a 4 here. Now this square's a 7. In order to complete this column, and that's a self-referential 7. That was gorgeous though. So we've actually done really well by just focusing on 7s for a while. And can we keep this going then? That is our next challenge. I don't know the answer to that. I'm trying to see whether I've got a knight's move poking in anywhere. I mean, I think there are, again, focusing on digits in the middle of... Oh, look, in fact, I was about to focus on the 6, but I'm more tempted by this 4, because that 4 is ruling itself out of just about everywhere in box 8, forcing a 4 here. Oh, forcing a self-referential 4, the most useless kind. 4, where does 4 go in the central box, though, now? That's ruled out. Those are ruled out. There's a 4-6 pair here, so we have to place 4 here. That's in column 5, so that must be a 5. And these reference each other. That's a 6 now, just to complete this row, and it's a self-referencing 6. We've got to put 8 and 9 into the middle box, and there's an 8 here, so we can't touch that way round. Now this is gorgeous because it unwinds the indexing. Now we know the 9 is in column 6. So in column 9 we must have a 6 and we must have a 4 in column 8. That places the 4 there by Sudoku and Knight's Move. That's in the 9th column, so we must put a 9 here. We must put a 1 here by the Medium of Madness. 9, 9, that's seeing a 9 by Knight's Move, so that becomes 8. That becomes 9. That becomes 2. I'm missing loads of things here, I can tell I am, because we're getting so much indexing done. I think the puzzle might be collapsing, which is going to be a hallmark of this sort of puzzle, because once you get a few digits, the restrictions are so enormous that you can basically fill it in with some sort of alacrity. Now that's a 9 now by Sudoku. That's a 1. That's got to be signalling a 1, so we get to place the 1 here. That's signalling... No, 5 is self-referential, and that's 8 in the middle. 8 is in the 5th column, so that puts a 5 here, and that should be an 8, which is self-referencing. One thing I learnt about these sorts of puzzles, actually, from the Pyramid Puzzle Hunt, and a puzzle called Just a Few Raindrops by Panthera, is that actually there is exactly one self-referencing digit in each row. And I'll leave that as an exercise for the viewer to work out why that's the case. It's quite interesting if you think about it. I might pin the best response as to why that's true. 5 and 8. So this is in the 5th, so we need to put a 9 here. 8 is signalling where the 9 goes, so everything is just going in beautifully now. We've got 3 and 6 to place here. The 3 pencil mark will allow us to do that. And I'm sure there's all sorts of indexing we can use here to finish the puzzle, but we've basically done it without needing too much indexing. 9, 8, this has got to be an 8. In this row we're looking for 5 and 6, so 6 there, 5 there. They are indexing each other, so I think that looks pretty good. I'll click tick, and that's how to solve a rather beautiful Miracle Reborn. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be very intrigued actually to see whether or not people needed to appreciate this striping effect that you get in these sorts of puzzles to finish that reasonably easily. So I look forward to the comments. A very, very happy new year to you all. Thanks so much for watching Cracking the Cryptic these last 12 months or more if you've been with us for longer. And here's to a happy and healthy 2022.